Go.
Wagwan Adcock.
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 Wagwan Cock.
Wagwan Adcock.
Wagwan Adcock.
Examine how climate change is one of the greatest threats to the reef. Discovered by the late Captain Cook in 1770, the Great Barrier Reef is known as a site of remarkable variety and beauty on the northeast coast of Australia. It contains the world's largest collection of coral reefs, with 400 types of coral, 1,500 species of fish, and 4,000 types of mollusks. It also holds great scientific intent as the habitat species such as the dugong, and the large green turtle, which are threatened with extinction. Ooh. Its composition of 2,900 individual reefs and 900 islands allows the reef to be recognized as one of the most extensive and large coral reef systems worldwide. The islands within the reef stretch over a span of 2,300 kilometers, while occupying an approximate area of 344,400 square kilometers. Climate change refers to the long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. These shifts may be natural, such as through variations in the solar cycle, but since the 1800s, human activities have been the main driver of climate change, primarily due to burning fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. Burning fossil fuels generates greenhouse gas emissions that act like a blanket wrapped around the Earth, trapping the sun's heat and raising temperatures. Examples of greenhouse gas emissions that are causing climate change include carbon dioxide and methane. These come from the using of gasoline for driving a car, or coal from heating a building. For example, clearing land and forests can also release carbon dioxide. Landfills for garbage are a major source of methane emissions. Energy, industry, transport, buildings, agriculture, and land use are among the main emitters. Society in recent years has become more aware of the environmental footprint and impact of our everyday actions, which has increased rapidly since the Industrial Revolution of 1760. Despite climate change being an alarming issue of global concern, there are a multitude of potential world-ending problems such as deforestation, environmental degradation, and excessive consumerism. If every individual on Earth lived and purchased like the average American, we would need approximately 5.2 planets to support us. 3 if everyone lived like the average Japanese, and 3.3 for the average European. Since the late 19th century, the global average temperature has increased between 0.2 degrees and 0.6 degrees. While this may seem insignificant, the effects of this change have already been shown to cause an increase in global air and ocean temperatures, rising global sea levels, and widespread reduction in snow and ice cover. Ooh. We'll continue to see extreme weather events such as droughts, floods, heat waves, and bushfires, and further increases in global temperatures and sea levels, which will have devastating effects on Earth's delicate ecosystems. Australia is a signatory to the Paris Agreement in 2015, which includes the global goal to hold the average temperature increase to well below 2 degrees and pursue efforts to keep warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius. Rising temperatures from human-caused greenhouse gas emissions affects planet-wide systems in several ways. For example, it warms the polar regions and the oceans, which melts ice cover at the poles and causes sea levels to rise. Climate change affects ocean habitats by lowering oxygen, decreasing phytoplankton. According to the United Nations 2019 IPBES Biodiversity Report, global warming has become a major driver of wildlife decline by shifting or shrinking the local climates that many mammals, birds, insects, fish, and plants evolved to survive in. The warming of the atmosphere affects weather patterns, causing more frequent and severe storms and droughts across many global regions. Higher temperatures are affecting the length of seasons, and in some places are already crossing safe levels for ecosystems and humans. All of these impacts and many others will become more severe if we do not act to stop greenhouse gas emissions now. It's easy to confuse current weather events with long-term climate trends. To understand global warming or climate change more generally, it's more important to understand the difference between weather and climate in relation to time. Weather is the condition of the atmosphere over a short period of time, while climate is weather averaged over long periods of time. The ups and downs of the daily weather make it hard to see slow changes in climate. To find climate trends, you need to look at how weather is changing over a long time span. Looking at high and low temperature data from recent decades shows that new record highs occur nearly twice as often as new record lows. Weather events that are out of the ordinary show that climate change is almost certainly affecting weather patterns in ways that go beyond mere increases in temperature.
Changing climates directly and indirectly cause stress to animals across the world. Many species are approaching or have already reached the limit of where they can go to find hospitable climates. As temperatures become warmer, negative animals...
Oh, I need to take a piss. Where's the bathroom?
As temperatures become warmer, native animals that depend on cooler habitats may be particularly vulnerable. One example is the critically endangered mountain pygmy possum, which are only found in alpine and subalpine regions of southern Victoria and around Mount Zucchini. No way. Mount Kozukini in Kozisko. Hey Siri, how do you pronounce Mosuesco?
I found this on the web.
Hey Siri, how do you pronounce Mount Kosciuszko? Yes.
Here's what I found.
Just 6 years old, she climbed to the top of Mount Kosciuszko.
Kosciuszko.
Are you still on the same...
Around Mount Kosciuszko. Around Mount Kosciuszko in Kosciuszko National Park in New South Wales at elevations of from 1,300 to 2,230 meters. In 2016, scientists declared a small mammal and the bramble cave Malomys. I don't know what it says.
Say louder, something.
The bramble cave Malomys.
Where are you? I'll say it. In 2016, scientists declared a small mammal, the bramble K. malomys, that lives only on a single island off Australia's Great Barrier Reef, to be the world's first mammal to become extinct due to climate change.
The rodent lived on a small...
Oh, sorry. So...
Pardon? The rodent lived on a small, low-lying island only 3 meters above sea level and 5 acres in area, the size of 2 MCGs. They were first spotted by Europeans in 1845, but since then had lost 97% of their habitat due to sea level rise. It's not just how climate change affects an animal directly, it's about how the warming climate affects the ecosystem and food chain that animals has adapted to. For example, salmon rely on steady flowing cold rivers For example, salmon rely on steady flowing cold rivers to spawn. As climate change alters the temperature and flow of these waterways, some salmon populations are dwindling. This affects many species that rely on salmon as a food source across orcas or grizzly bears. In both oceans and on land, the changes in temperature and moisture are causing some species to migrate in search of new places to live.
I cut.
Why? Climate change is most significant threat to the Great Barrier Reef long-term outlook. The rate and magnitude of climate change is increasing due to the continual rise in global carbon dioxide concentrations in the atmosphere, directly linked to the burning of fossil fuels. The strongest and fastest possible action of climate change is critically to slowing deterioration of the reef's ecosystem and heritage values and supported recovery.
You get my croissant?
Right.
Oh.
Gradual sea temperature rise and temperature extremes such as marine heat waves and are the most immediate threat to the reef as a whole and pose the highest risk. Heat waves are becoming hotter, longer and more frequent. Coral reefs and coral-dependent species are the most vulnerable to sea temperature increases, as evidenced by the 2016 and 2017 mass coral bleaching events. Cascading effects that have already resulted in the decline of coral associated fish and invertebrates. As the climate continues to change, the capacity of hard corals to survive, grow and reproduce is increasingly compromised. Grow and produce is increasingly compromised. At current rates of warming, global mean temperature would reach 1.5 degrees Celsius between 2030 and 2052, with dangerous implications for many ecosystems. There is also a high risk of exceeding 1.5 degrees Celsius and approaching 2 degrees Celsius by 2065. Warming of 2 degrees Celsius would result in a completely new climate regimen under which many ecosystems would undergo irreversible change. The extent of which the climate will change in coming decades depends on current and future greenhouse gas emissions.
Collate a range of 8 to 10 images to provide supporting relevant information about the reef and predict the future. The future is the time after the past and present. Its arrival is considered inevitable due to the existence of time and the laws of physics. Due to the apparent nature of reality and the unavoidability of the future, everything that currently exists and will exist can be categorized as either permanent, meaning that it will exist forever, or temporary, meaning that it will end. In the Occidental view, which uses a linear conception of time, the future is the portion of the projected timeline that is anticipated to occur. In special relativity, the future is considered absolute future, or the future-like cone. In the philosophy of time, presentism is a belief that only the present exists and the future and the past are unreal. Religions consider the future when they address issues such as karma, life after death, and eschatologies that study what the end of time and the time of the world will be. Religious figures such as prophets and diviners have claimed to see into the future. Future studies, or futurology, is the science, art, and practice of postulating possible futures. Modern practitioners stress the importance of alternative and plural futures rather than one monolithic future, and the limitations of croissant, thank you, and the limitations of prediction and probability versus the creation of possible and preferable futures. Assalamu alaikum. Wait, where are we? Predensionism is the belief that the past and present and future have already been decided. The concept of the future has been explored extensively in culture production, including art movements and genres devoted entirely to its elucidation, such as the 20th century move, futurism. According to Forbes, this is how you can predict the future, so you can be like me. Now Jet will teach you how to predict the future, according to Forbes.
Number 1. Know all the facts. Analysis starts with data. It's more than data, but it starts with data. You need to be rooted in the real world, and you need to be rigorous. And you need to be rigorous. Before you start anything, you need to gather as much data as possible and then crunch it, which can mean combining data points, but often means discarding data points as well. 2. Live and breathe your space. The other key tool in analysis in the understanding of your market, and just as important, your primary research, which by a large means talking to people. You need to be embedded in your space's social and intellectual networks, and you need to talk to the people who are smarter than you, embedded in the space, and learn from them. This creates a virtuous circle. Talking to smart people makes you smarter, which makes smart people want to talk to you. Forget everything I've just said. Data is fine, even necessary. Primary research is fine, even necessary. But there's another element which is just as necessary and often lacking. It's that special something. It's often dubbed insight. It's seeing the trend that nobody else is seeing. This is the question that has obsessed me. I don't know that I've cracked it, but I think you know. Once in a while, you have to look at what you've obsessed about like you don't know anything about. Clear your mind, think about other stuff. It sounds silly, but what matters is putting yourself in a frame of mind where you're looking at the situation from a new angle, and realizing that by only focusing yourself on your area of expertise, you will miss things.
Despite knowing all these things, following these rules do not necessarily equate to a guaranteed prediction of the future. One may conspiracy theorize, however, only one individual knows what the future holds: Jesus. Chances are, my prediction of the future has allowed me to broaden my mind and understanding about both life and the existence of reality. As to making one prediction, I've compiled 12, in which I will now disclose. Number 1. The creation of a robotic waiter named Jorge will take the world by storm. Number 2. Jorge will be Hispanic. and thus will be decorated with an enlarged mustache and a replaceable nacho sombrero hat. Number 3. Jorge will have maracas as fingers, all of which will make irritating, constant noise, ensuring that all enemies and intruders are intimidated should they attempt a crime. And another Ferris wheel will be added, so the landmark is called the London Eyes. 2 eyes. Number 5. Victoria's Secret will eventually be discovered. Number 6. Greta Thunberg will rise to power, taking after the likes of Kim Jong. She will be controlled of the world's most powerful nation and weapons threatening strange-haired Americans. Number 7. Rise of the Planet of the Apes turned out to be a prophesized ending to humanity. Number 8. Kung Fu Panda 4 would have come out, in which Po inevitably sits on Mantis by mistake, thus transporting him to the spirit realm. Number 9. We will find out what McDonald's has been loving all these years. Number 10. Pythagoras will be found and arrested for mentally and physically abusing high school students. Number 11. James Townsend will have washed his hair. Number 12. The Great Barrier Reef will have ceased to exist, housing no life within the area because of...
Oi! What coral and aquatic species are found in the reef?
What'd you say? Good question. Flower pot coral are made up of many individual polyps joined together at the base of their skeletons to form branches, columns, or dome-shaped colonies. The individual polyps are highly flexible and active and constantly moving around and feeding the colonies. Their colonies can spread widely, growing many meters across, found in upper reef slopes with lower wave action, 1 to 25 meters deep. Smooth cauliflower coral.
That's actually its name. That's actually its name. What?
Smooth cauliflower coral. Common in shallow reef areas, particularly those that are exposed to strong wave action. Although it can occur to a depth of about 15 meters, it is hard branching coral with blunt, slightly flattened ends. Color ranges from cream, pink, or blue to greens. Hump coral.
This way you're allowed to do the rest.
Common in shallow inner reefs, but also found less frequently on the outer reef. This small, stony coral grows in a rounded hump shape. It prefers to grow in the absence of their species, although it can occasionally be found near algae and other corals.
Bro, you just likes it.
It uses symbiotic algae to photosynthesize by day and filter feeds on plankton by night. Bro, these are not real names.
They are real name, I swear.
Finger
This is algae?
algae.
Algae?
Algae. Sorry, it's flower pot coral, smooth cauliflower coral, hump coral, finger coral,
You want to get Elijah read it?
clownfish.
Clownfish is a type of fish. Obviously, Nemo. Yeah.
Finger coral. Stop laughing! Finger coral. A stony reef-building coral that grows in either hand-like or tree-like colonies with blunt, upright branches. It is covered in small corallites that give it a rough, sandpaper-like texture.
Like me.
Like most other hand corals, it gets its energy from both the zooxanthellae.
What was the word?
Zooxanthellae.
Where?
Zooxanthellae. Zooxanthellae. I don't know what Zooxanthellae
But
is.
where is it?
Oh, I lost it. It was in the. It was in the Zooxanthellae. You don't even know. You don't even
I don't
know.
know what the hell that is.
Okay, it's all good, it's all good. From both the zooxanthellae that live within its tissues, as well as active carnivorous feeding, found in shallow reef environments and mud flats. Common mushroom coral, unlike most corals, does not form colonies. Mushroom corals are large, free-living, solitary polyps that aren't attached to the substrate. They are flat or dome-shaped with wide, slit-like mouths. Young mushroom corals begin life on stalks and bear a striking resemblance to actual mushrooms. Found in shallow areas of the reef crest and flat, but mostly within cavities on the reef flat. Sea turtles. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's a sea turtle.
Wow.
Sometimes called marine turtles, are reptiles of the order Testudines, and of the suborder Critodyra. The 7 existing species of sea turtles are the flatback green, hawksbill, leatherback, loggerhead, Kemp's Ridley, Uruguay, and olive Ridley sea turtles. Clownfish. Clownfish or anemonefish are fishes from the subfamily Amphiprionidae in the family Pomocentridae. 30 species of clownfish are recognized. One in the genus Premnas. 30 species of clownfish are recognized. One in the genus Premnas, while the remaining are in the genus Amphiprion. In the wild, they all from symbiotic mutualism and will see anemones.
Go, let's go as well.
Now, you may be wondering, what is the Dreamtime story behind the reef?
What is it? Yeah.
So the Great Barrier Reef was formed after Byron, the creator, threw lava from the sky, like a volcano. As the story goes, Byron was angered after 2 brothers went out fishing and separated and speared a particular fish they had been told not to hunt. Frightened, the hunter ran home to tell his people what happened. Determined to stop the impending carnage, the tribe began throwing rocks into the ocean. Immediately, the ocean began to calm down. Oh, I missed a part. Determined to stop the impending carnage of the tribe. Oh no, I didn't miss a part. Immediately, the ocean began to calm down, so they threw more rocks into the sea, forming a makeshift barrier, and so the Great Barrier Reef was born.
Dude, relax. There.
As well as being a tourist destination, it also has a rich indigenous history. The Great Barrier Reef was formed after Byron. Wait.
You brought that twice.
Same thing. Yeah, you're a sticker.
Yeah, fish, bro. It's one of the questions to say.
What's the question?
Question, what's different type of fish?
What different types of fish are in the Great Barrier Reef, you may be asking yourself? Well, first, what is a fish? Does anyone really know? No, they do. Fish are aquatic vertebrates. They usually have gills, paired fins, and a long body covered with scales, and tend to be cold-blooded. Fish is a term used to refer to lampreys, sharks, sea lancans, and ray-finned fishes, but is not a taxonomic group, which is a clade or group containing a common ancestor and all is descendants. Instead, there are three main classes, groups, or types of fish: bony fish, osteichthyes, jawless fish, and cartilaginous fish,
Oh my god.
and cartilaginous fish. Fish are the most diverse group among the vertebrates, with over 33,000 types of fish species. No one really knows how many different types of fish there are in the world. More are being discovered constantly. We may soon have over 35,000 or even 40,000 known species. There are three superclasses into which fish are grouped: bony fish, jawless fish, and cartilaginous fish. Rayed fin fishes are the class Actinopterygill. While lobe fin fishes are the class Subcopterygill. Both are clades of bony fishes. Regardless of fish. Regardless, all fish have some characteristics in common that distinguish them from other animals. Cold-bloodedness. All fishes are ectothermic or cold-blooded, meaning they cannot regulate their internal body temperature. Even warm-blooded fish such as tuna and mackerel, sharks have only regional endothermy, and warm-blooded limited to certain areas. Water habitat. All fishes live in bodies of water. Bodies of waters including lakes, rivers, oceans,
Ponds.
toilet,
Pond.
pond,
What else? Swimming pool.
cycle. As with the water habitat, although all fish have gills, not all creatures with gills are fish. How does that have anything to do with it? Swim bladders. Special-like organs fill the air to keep the fish afloat, and in some species help them to survive. Fins for movement. All fishes mainly have fins and tails. If you eat salmon, you are no longer natty, as they act like that of an anabolic steroid, which is why I am profusely muscular and with slightly smaller.
It's true. It's true. It is.
That's why I'm profusely muscular.
With?
Hey, Arnold,
Yeah.
what do you call a fish with no legs?
What?
A fish.
Ah!
They don't have legs. The action. That is the end of our
No, you
presentation.
have to read it.
Yeah, that is the end of our presentation.
Read it. I have to read it.
The whole length.
Yes. Just read it.
The sources we got our information from include Forbes.com.
No, you have to read the whole thing. You have to read the author and the title as well.
We'll just send him the big
No,
bill.
no, you have to read it. He says you have to say it.
What?
I don't know. You have to do it.
Nah, I just
You have to do it.
You do it.
No, I don't want to do it. You do it. You don't. That's what he said.
2022.
Yeah, quick. How to predict the future in 3 seconds.
Our bibliography includes How to Predict the Future in 3 Simple Steps. This is written by Gobri Pascal Emmanuel, and we got it off Forbes.com.
No, you have to tell me if I called it.
I'm reading it now. What is climate change? Author unknown, and we got it off UnitedNations.com. How many Earths? Question mark. How many countries? Question mark. Author unknown, and we got it on overshootday.org. Climate change and global warming. Author unknown, and we got that off greenfleet.com. Climate change facts. Author unknown, and we got it off natureaustralia.org.au. Future. Author unknown, and we got that from Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. Keep laughing forever with our funny fish jokes. I'm gonna do it with a straight face. Keep laughing forever with our funny fish jokes and puns. Author unknown, and we got that off keeplaughingforever.com /fish jokes if you want to find some fish jokes. Climate change pressure on the Great Barrier Reef. Author Department of Environment and Science, and we got that off stateof3environment.des.qld.gov.au. Fish, different types, definition, photos and more. Author A to Z Animal Stuff. A to Z Animal Stuff. And we got that off A to Z to animals.com. Australian Geographic. Author unknown, and from australiageographic.com.au.
Alright, wrap it up.
Well, that's the end of this segment on the Great Barrier Reef.
Yes.
You enjoyed this topic, Arnold?
Oh yeah, I found it very, very insightful.
Did our audience enjoy this topic?
Oh yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, signing out,
Okay.
Mr. Adcock. Peace.
Alright. See ya.
You know the funny thing is?
Yeah, yeah.
You didn't have to read that out.
You're
You were... It's just pretty bad. You read out a bibliography. You're retarded.
Do we have to let...
No, you don't have to read a bibliography.
we leave it?
Leave what?
Leave it in there.
Yeah, who cares?